Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Late AF. Late is fuck. Um, I am Trisha Joy, and today we're gonna do an episode on Creed 3. I recently was able to go out and see it. I know it's been out for a while, but like the theme of the show, I'm kind of late on it. But I wanted to engage all of you out there and really talk about this film and what your thoughts were. All right. You can catch Lay AF like around this time, 11 p.m. Usually on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but sometimes I sprinkle in some episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So for now, catch me 3 days a week on Facebook, on our YouTube channel, 2MW Sports 360. And yeah, let's talk about sports. So today is kind of a slow game in sports. They're like three games. I believe the Celtics already lost a game today, which is kind of shocking. They lost to the Rockets. I can't name like 3 people on the Rockets right now, though I'm a huge NBA fan. So yeah, things seem to be not going so well on their squad right now, but there's a lot of season left, so I'm not gonna panic. Not that I'm a Celtics fan, but I don't want to rush to judgment on their season. The Bucks and the Kings are currently playing, and the Bucks are losing. That's another kind of, I don't think it's a shocker because the Kings are pretty good this year. They've shown like they had a lot of spunk, so they definitely would be a handful for a team like the Bucks. And the Suns and the Warriors are going to play, or are they already in motion? And since Kevin Durant won't be playing for a while, you might see the Suns not as successful. That's pretty unfortunate, but this is how the game is played. And what can they do but wait for Kevin Durant to get to perfect health? So, Kevin Durant, wish you luck. Hopefully you are able to get well soon and join your team. Not really, because I'd rather the Clippers win, but I'm also not evil. I don't want Kevin Durant to be hurt. Anyway, while we wait for the other people to connect, I want to actually warm up the show with something that I feel is kind of interesting. Look at all the stuff I have in my background. Oh, I look like I don't have a lot of mess there. Just a bunch of papers, a lot of receipts. Some in this work you have to have a lot of receipts, but I seem to have some physical ones. Anyway, since this was about Creed, I saw an interesting article that I want to just breeze through, and I'll kind of share my screen to show that. But as you guys may know, I love trading cards. I don't particularly have any soccer cards, but so not soccer, hockey cards. But I thought this was interesting, and I wanted to share this with you, since the theme of the show is Creed 3, which is a movie, a sports movie. So found this interesting trading card link by Hockey News. Please ignore all the ads that you're seeing on the site. I couldn't help it. Let me see if I can make my screen a little bit bigger, just so that you guys can see it fully. But this thing has 10 actors with hockey cards. All right, so you might recognize the first person. He is I would say an icon for kids born in the 80s and maybe the 90s a little bit, if You guys remember that? But Ralph, he played well, right now he's in Cobra Kai as an adult, but Ralph was also in Karate Kid. When in its first release, he was the star of that movie, and he happens to have his own hockey card, so that's cool. The next person, oh, by the way, this was in the 91 92 pro set platinum. Jim Belushi. I wouldn't even doubt like something like this exists, but he also has his own hockey card. That's cool. With the Black Hawks. Mike Myers has his own hockey card. Everybody knows Mike Myers in Austin Powers, also in Saturday Night Live, icon. Jason Priestley, I mean, he's not even dressed up in hockey, but it counts. He was Brandon for all of us young women born in the 80s who used to watch 90210. I was barely allowed to watch that show, by the way, but whatever. Jason Priestley has his own hockey card. Amazing. Pamela Anderson has a Don Ross 2010-2011 card. Not in hockey attire, as you can see right here. Pamela Anderson does not have on hockey attire, but it counts. It counts. Pamela, go Pamela. Let's see. Alyssa Milano. All right. Again, for people who don't recognize his face, Charmed. She was on, what's the other show? What does the article say? Who's the Boss? Young lady on Who's the Boss that I think came in and was adopted by the family. Can't remember the storyline quite well, but nonetheless, she was a very big actress. A child actor on that show, but impactful for people born in my decade. Who's this? Jay Goon promotional cards. Let's see. Wyatt Russell. Okay, right. So we're talking about like wrestlers and things like that. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong thing. He was actually in The Falcon and Winter Soldier. And Alicia Cuthbert also got a card, and Dennis Leary. So that's cool. That's interesting. Actors with their own hockey cards. And now let's really talk about Creed 3. So Creed 3, I must say, was a pretty well done movie. Now, I'm not saying that because there were some really well shaped, in shape, men playing the lead roles in this film. Michael B. Jordan, he was in it. We all love us some Michael B. And Jonathan Majors, amazing. So it wasn't because of them, but I'm not gonna say they weren't. They made it difficult to watch. But again, okay, so I got that on my system, but I want to look at and talk about this movie in several areas and several categories. I think pretty much the whole film was casted quite well. I think that Jonathan Majors did a excellent job as as the friend of Michael B. Jordan who was arrested in their childhood and came back as a I would say another boxer with a chip on his shoulder, right? Damien Diamond Dame Anderson. And I'm not going to give away the story too much because there may be a bunch of you who haven't seen it, but you will not be disappointed at the casting of this film. Michael B. Jordan, Jonathan Majors, even Felicia Rashad is in it. Who else was notable? Some new actors. They had a young lady by the name of Mila Davis Kent. She was Amara Creed, and that is that is Michael B. Jordan's character, who is Udonis Creed. It's his daughter. The one thing I want to note is that's interesting about it, and sorry if this ruins the movie for you a little bit, but it's not really a huge plot note, so don't worry about it. But his daughter in the film is hard of hearing or deaf, and so in the movie there is some sign language. In the movie there are some extended pieces of silence to but captions so that you can understand how the family is communicating with their daughter, how the family's communicating with the daughter and their school. And I thought that was dope. And the reason why I thought it was dope, a little personal note about myself, is that my college I attended when I was in college, I won't make the year, but was 40% deaf. 40% deaf or hard of hearing. So and I've since moved away from the school and the town, but to see it again and to see that the hard of hearing and deaf community got an opportunity to be in such a huge film was amazing. It really touched my heart, and it really made me love the movie even more, because it wasn't just like, hey, there was one deaf or hard of hearing person in this film and they had like a minor part and it's passing. There was an extended amount of time spent on Miss Mila, who was his daughter in the film, who is hard of hearing. And I'm just glad that community got to have such a major piece of such a impactful film. So shout out to that community. The next thing I wanted to talk about really was the camera work. I think the first thing that for me, right, and I want to let you guys in on a little secret about me too. I've also went to school for film. So when I watch a film, and when I'm watching any piece of content, but when I'm watching film particularly, I'm always looking with like an extra bit of a critical eye on the technical portions of the film. And the camera work was amazing. There was a lot of fluid movements with the boxing moves that allow you to almost travel alongside the body of the boxer in some critical moments. And that movement, almost made us a part of the fight and not just in some obscure camera angle for the film. And I loved that they added that part to the film and made it such a interesting part. The other part that I thought was very good about the film is that they had a sequence in there where the past of Udonis Creed and Damian Anderson came to their present, because a lot of what happened in their past affected their relationship, affected how they were present in the present. And instead of doing a ton of flashbacks, which to me is very I'm just not a fan of them. I know a lot of films have flashbacks, but because it was a situation where they didn't do flashbacks, but they brought the past to the reality and made it smooth and dramatic in the boxing sequence. I thought that was an amazing touch. um Lastly, let's talk about the storyline. I think the storyline was tight. Usually there's some gaps that usually have me storming out of a theater and like, oh my god, like what the f happened here, like why did they not close this gap? But I feel like there was a lot of it was a very well done script. It was a 2 hour long film, and I did not at one point think that I'm bored. I did not at one point think that, you know, they needed to start over, or they just wasted my time. I thought it was a very, very well done film. And again, it's not me saying, oh, because Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors were in it, that it was great. It was really, truly a well done film. Now, I posted in the group a question about, to just find out from everybody what they thought about the film. So in disagreement to me, there are some people that didn't like the film, not as as I expressed, like a perfect film, but they thought there were a little bit of inconsistencies or things that weren't realistic that kind of pull them out the film. The one complaint the one complaint a couple people had about the film was that the heavyweight boxer that was initially supposed to, initially fought Damian Anderson, wasn't truly a heavyweight, and Damian Anderson was considered a heavyweight. And I believe it was Jose. I don't want to butcher his name, but he played Felix. Yeah, Jose. So they didn't think he was a true heavyweight. They thought like he was a little bit small to play heavyweight, but that was the back and forth on the wall. But you know, me, I'm not going to say that I'm the biggest boxing fan and I know all the details, but I thought it was, it was believable to me. But, you know, I respect that you all have a certain criteria and certain like standard at which sports movies can be held. So I respect that. And I think that, you know, maybe it is something that could have been worked on, but to me, it wasn't necessary. I thought the movie was good regardless of that same fact. There was another one in the group. His name is Herbo. He believes that there was great acting, really good direction, but it was bogged down by horrible screenwriting decisions. So, I mean, he didn't really mention the full list, and I hope one day I'm able to sit with him and figure out what was the actual issue. But he mentioned one, and he said the most egregious was having Adonis's mother never mentioning to Adonis that the person who injured Drago was working with Damian all along, and only bringing it up after he confronted her for hiding the mail. I'm sorry, but that's just dumb. Now, I don't remember it playing out like that, and sorry for anybody that thought it was that's a spoiler, but I don't remember it playing out like that. So all I'll say is, from my perspective, I thought the order of operations of that particular note was tight. I think that Phylicia Rashad, who played Adonis Creed's mom, was... I like that she was a beloved person of the family, but did this terrible thing, right? Which withheld information from Adonis that made her almost unlikable in a moment. I think that's kind of different for Felicia, and I appreciated that. I appreciated that we're like, damn, like, how could you do that? Because, you know, normally her characters were like, yeah, she's the mom. We remember from her from the Cosby Show, and she's always in this regal position. And in this film, she was regal, but she was also like, wow, how could you do that? But we understand why you did it, but nah, that was kind of bad. A lot of someone said they don't like the last fight scene. I won't comment on that to name why, but if you haven't seen it, go ahead and do that, see it, and then come back and leave your comment about that. Tim, who's a big person in our group, gives it a 10 out of 10. I agree with you, Tim. We got another 8.5 out of 5. Someone in the group said it was cool. The build up to the fight was too quick for me. Not enough slow burn to make you anticipate. All in all, it was good, but not as good as the first two. All right. So I think that criticism is actually a positive thing, because if you wanted more slow burn to the end of the film, and the film was already an hour and 57 minutes, that means it was a good film and you were really, 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 tuned in and ready and watching, because another slow burn adds about 15 more minutes to that runtime. And you know, I'm old and I'm surprised I even made it through the 2 hours, but you know, yeah. So go ahead and watch it. I think there was an interesting comment that was made in the thread that made me even watch Rocky. So someone here said that Creed 3 was just and this is not my comment, by the way. Someone said Creed 3 was just Rocky 5 with black people. So you know what I did? I went and watched Rocky 5 today, and I want to say they were not far off, but that doesn't make the movie bad. Rocky 5, if you guys watched it, was similar in that the storyline or the arc goes from the boxer that has retired and left the game and no longer is boxing, is brought back to the ring to defend his honor, his name, and his title. In a nutshell, that's what it was. And yeah, there were nuances, there were differences. Mila was Adonis Creed's child. There wasn't in Creed 3, Rocky Balboa's son was the feature child in that version of the film. So again, in both, the kids played some key roles in both films. In both films, like I said, the boxer retired, Adonis retired, and he was now working the gym. So did Rocky Balboa. He was retired and now working the gym. Severely injured from years and years and years of boxing, and now had to go back and overcome the injuries to box. And then in Rocky 5, Rocky was suffering from an injury, or layers and layers of injuries that took him out the ring, but he still had to defend his name, defend his legacy, and defend his honor in a fight. So those were the similarities between the two movies. It was amazing to watch both. I really, really thought that it was I thought it was well done, so we do have one comment here. Sean says the screenplay was horrible. No hate for BJ or Jonathan Majors. again, if there's some extra like storyline or some details from a boxing fan perspective, I respect if boxing fans that are really deep into the sport have a problem with the screenplay or the characters or how certain scenes were portrayed, because you guys have the expertise in the field. I would say, as a person that's not a boxing fan but loves sports, but still, I have the film experience and understand how films, or I've seen films come up shorter. I feel for the most part, all the bases were covered and the story seemed solid to a I would say either a fair weather or non-fan like myself. But if there were things that you would have done differently, completely understand, for all you boxing fans out there. So yeah, I really thought this was a good movie. good for good for what it's worth, good for being 2 hours long and I didn't fall asleep, good for like the actors that were casted and how they made it believable. And yeah, I would go see it again if I had the time or the money to do so. So um I wanted to bring up shortly players that won't retire. Um, Only because it came up yesterday that Isaiah Thomas, little Isaiah, not Isaiah Thomas, the other, from the 80s from the Pistons, but the smaller but obviously taller than me, Isaiah Thomas. He's still waiting on a call to play for the NBA, and I saw a lot of people comment on the thread that I posted that the call isn't coming, he should retire. It's sad to see, and that's a theme that is in the films, both films. Players that really still feel like they have some gas in the tank, but never getting the opportunity to show it. And in Creed 3, that was the theme for Jonathan Majors' actor Damian Anderson, who was away for almost 2 decades due to being locked up, and still had dreams, still really wanted to compete. Same sort of scenario. The comment, Rocky went from 1 through 5, Creed went 1 to 5. That's a pretty big gap. Interesting. Let me see. 1, 2, 5. I'm not really sure what you mean by 1, 2, 5. Oh, you're trying to kind of lining up the Creed series versus the Rocky series. That's a question. That's a thing. I'll need to go back and look at all the Creeds and then all the Rockies and see and align them and then make that judgment. So maybe that's a show for another time this month. I need some time to watch all those movies because I do it. But that's a good point, and I'll be looking for that note, Sean. Another current player that's not retired but did announce that he will retire is Udonis Haslam. Udonis Haslam has been playing with the Miami Heat, I feel like all his life, almost 2 decades himself, and is considered a key part of that team. And I don't know if it's just his presence because he's not really playing many minutes, but always good to have a good veteran on the squad. I believe Carmelo's still active. Carmelo hasn't retired. And I don't think honestly, even though he hasn't played in a while, I'm like not sad that he's not retired, because him and LeBron came in along the same time. So just stay as long as he's staying, Carmelo. Just off the strength of you know, saying you're in the same class and category as LeBron, which I mean, listen, what I said was probably problematic to people in this group, but like, yeah, just stick around, Carmelo. See what happens. Yeah, those are the three that come to mind right now, just NBA wise. I'm sure there's a ton of or a few, because the football career is much shorter than the NBA career, but those are the three that come to mind in the NBA. The players that won't retire, that should, or I'm not gonna say should, but just players that won't retire and still want that second go, that call to go in and show what they have. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you haven't already, go and see Creed 3. Again, I think it's a good movie, right? Some people in 2MW don't, but it isn't really truly, I haven't really seen anything that would say it's anything below a 7. All right, nothing below a 7, and I'm guessing for Sean, who probably might think it's lower than that, but like, nothing below a 7. So it's worth going out and seeing. It's worth going out and supporting Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors, but supporting the sport through film. I think it's a good deal. And it's usually hard for me to watch sports movies, because I don't think sports are like fake. Like I don't see how you fictionalize something so real to me. But it was a good movie, so go out and see Creed 3. Anyway, like I said, this is Trisha Joy. I do this show late AF every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 p.m. Tune in. I'll be posting the next episode very soon, but thank you for joining the review of Creed 3. Peace.